Armored infantrymen? 11 cartridges? Range of 130 kilometers. And this is where he shot out. A little scary. Clearly you want to come with me. It's a creepy feeling to sit inside of it. MG shooter in the front, the commander, shooter of the main cannon, charge shooters. Hi, I'm Fritz, and it's time for another Lost Place adventure. I'm looking for abandoned tanks and for a lost village. So I would say, come with me and let the adventure begin. Look at this. I'm already a few meters in, and here are some very large, strange concrete structures. You can see the reinforcement bars inside. What could that have been? I assume it's something military. Maybe it was some kind of bunker that was blown up later after the end of the war. You have to be careful around here, because if your head gets stuck on these things, you have to run really fast. Here's some kind of old shaft. You can see the wall thickness. Up here, I think there's about 1.2 meters concrete ceiling. This is definitely an old bunker. Here too, you can see the former wood prints from the formwork that was built with wood and filled with concrete afterwards.
Ja, das Ganze mit Beton zu füllen.
People, this is only the beginning. I think we're gonna find some cooler stuff in this tour. I had to say, I have no idea what this could be. If you know your way around bunkers, write it down in the comments if this was some kind of ventilation. According to my research, there should be remains of the church that used to be here, either an archway or some kind of decorations. Here you can definitely see an arch, maybe from a window. And what also belongs to a church? A cross. Even that is still here, and the foundation walls can also be seen a little in the background. A whole village was torn down because a firing range was expanded. That was around 75 years ago, and one thing that's still here, you can already see the outer walls. What could it possibly be? What is still left is the cemetery. The dead are the only ones that were allowed to stay. Everything else was torn down. There are 1 or 2 isolated graves with a candle still on it that looks a bit newer, but the rest are covered with moss and, well, pretty much abandoned. Even if there's no snow, it's really cold outside. It's still winter. It's pretty cloudy, but this slightly apocalyptic move also fits to the theme. Over there, we can already see the first tank. Namely, so-called hard targets should be here. These are old, discarded tanks, and there should be 24 of them. Man, what the fuck? I'm pretty sure there's 24 of them. I'm not showing you yet. We're going to the edge first. It looks really cool. These are discarded tanks that have been set up for training purposes, so that firing exercises can be carried out on them and some other things too. This looks cooler already. This view already makes me nervous, if I imagine that the tanks are still functional and the engines are still on. This type of tank is called M47 Patton. I don't know how you pronounce this. Patton, whatever. It was produced during the Cold War in the USA, so it's an American tank. It was referred to as a medium tank, which means some kind of middle thing, and has a 90mm cannon in the front. This tank weighs over 47 tons? That is a real colossus, clearly. I think when it drives through the terrain, if you're standing nearby, I believe that you can feel the vibration in the ground. Maybe we have some armored infantrymen from the Bundeswehr here that could tell us if you can really feel it when a tank goes by, if the vibrations are really noticeable. I really don't know. It's a little windy outside here in the field. I did a little research, and in addition to the main cannon, there should also be 3 different machine guns. The question is if we could somehow locate the place where they should be. Here in the front we have the headlights, left and right. Different eyelets, maybe if they wanted to carry something, or maybe for additional extensions. There are chains that sometimes hang down from here, maybe to trigger mines. I don't know what this is. but I assume that maybe the MG was inside,
dass hier vielleicht ein MG drin war, weil das
because it has such a swing radius.
Schwingradius hat. Und direkt
And directly behind it, there's a flap that is welded, unfortunately.
aber da könnte
But there could possibly have been a shooter in there.
gewesen sein. Und hier
And here's where it's shot.
auf der anderen Seite
There's also a flap on the other side. I think this had to be the lookout or the driver's hatch. I'm wondering if he was actually looking out or if he had a deflection mirror.
oder ob der da irgendwie so einen Umlenkspiegel drin hatte, weil auf der anderen
On
Seite
the other side, there's a weird slit on it, so I can imagine you can also see a kind of hinge here. That there was a mirror here that you could rotate and see around with the help of this mirror mechanism.
so ein Spiegelmechanismus hier rausgeguckt hat.
Gut, haben wir schon mal zwei.
Alright, we already have two things. A possible machine gunner, and on the other side, the driver. I would say, let's climb up there.
Das wäre hier die rechte
This was the driver's right flap, but it's covered. Maybe you can see inside of it.
drin, was? Müssen wir gleich noch
I have to look at it again in silence. Up here, there is also a strange function left and right.
eine komische Funktion. Ich glaube
I think these are more likely headlights or sensors, because no barrel fits in here. It's just an output.
da passt ja kein Lauf rein, hier ist ja nur so ein Knubbel. Und ich glaube, das gleiche Ding
I think we have the same thing on the other side as well. There's some glass pieces inside, so I'm pretty sure this was a spotlight.
das irgendwie irgendwas Scheinwerferlichtmäßiges ist. Hier hinten sind ein paar
I think they could be from the practices. Maybe this is why the tank is not functional anymore, because the compartment was damaged here.
deswegen kaputt gegangen. Okay,
Okay, this can't be seen anymore.
so richtig ist
This is a coat of arms with 4 stars, I think,
hier so ein, vielleicht Sterne waren das mal. Und
and a big G inside. G stands for ground, definitely.
Gelände, ganz klar. Leute, man
People, we can get inside here.
rein.
Okay.
Ich glaube, als Panzer.
I think, as an armored infantryman, as a tank crew, you have to be really small. I am too big. I am 1.82 meters tall. It's gonna be really tight inside.
So, ich werde auf jeden Fall schon mal
Alright, I'll get the flashlight out. My backpack can stay outside. I'm going in.
draußen bleiben. Ich tauch ab. Wollt ihr eigentlich mit?
Would you like to come with me or stay outside? Dumb question.
Natürlich.
You definitely want to come with me.
So, ich hoffe, ich kriege
I
das
hope I can make the film halfway through because it's really tight in here.
ziemlich eng ist. Also, wo
Where should we begin?
Panzer an sich
In the tank, there's definitely the chassis,
und dann
and then this attached turret. I think this is what it's called. It's really scary to sit inside of this. Cool. I've never been inside a tank.
da oben
Alright, up there you can see the access. What I find exciting, they are out of glass.
Laser dran.
I assume that they were lamps, maybe fur lights or something so you can see inside the tank.
Verschiedenes Tannenlicht oder so, was sofort auffällt.
What I immediately noticed is this huge cannon back here.
Ohne hier innen drin. Wie gesagt,
It's 90 millimeters big.
also ausgelegt für
So it's designed for 5 people. The driver, the machine gunner in the front,
Schützen vorne. Wir haben
the commander, that's the leader that gives the orders around here and coordinates everything.
genau sagt, was wie wo abläuft, alles koordiniert. Wir haben den
The shooter of the main gun,
Kanone und
and I think another loader, at least with the older tanks, a man who is responsible for ensuring that the cannon is always loaded.
zuständig ist, dass immer nachgeladen wird. Das müssten eigentlich
These should be the 5 people. I don't know how it is with the current Bundeswehr tanks, but I think I read it somewhere that the loader doesn't even exist anymore because it is done fully automatic.
gemacht wird. Und dadurch
And this way they can make the tank a little smaller because he needed space to stand up here, work around here.
muss hier hantieren. Und dadurch, dass
So because the tanks are fully automated and the loader is no longer needed, they can build the tank more flat, and this way they are also more disguised when they move through the field, when they maybe look inside a house, whatsoever.
wie gesagt, ich bin mir nicht
As I was saying, I'm not sure how it is now at the Bundeswehr, how the crew is set up. If there are armored infantrymen with us, I really want to know this. Write it down in the comments if you are familiar with this.
Fahrer, wer sich damit auskennt. Hier sieht man,
You can see here how the turret was moved around.
bewegt hat. Und hier ist, glaube ich,
This is some kind of lock, I think. I'm not sure if you can lock this for some reason.
sperren kann für eine gewisse Sache. Hier oben
Up here? Telefono. This doesn't sound American, but we know for sure there was a telephone here.
ist natürlich ein Telefon hing hier mal. Hier drüben
Here are the optics,
die dann
and it goes further along. So I think I was right.
Doch, pass auf, Leute. Wie vermutet, ich glaube, ich habe recht. Guck mal, hier
Look,
ist
here is the optic where they look inside. It goes over here to a mirror, then goes back there inside of a pipe that is going out on the right and on the left.
rechts rausgeht und nach links rausgeht. Und das müssen
And those should be the 2 things I showed you outside on the turret, as I said.
im Geschützturm, die ich gesagt habe. Boah, ich find's gerade
I think it's mega interesting to climb inside of a tank.
Panzer reinklettern. Und hier ist ein
And here is a slot where you could certainly also look through the deflecting mirror back then.
gucken konnte.
There is also an opening to the outside here. Such a construction that looks to me as if you could put another MG on it.
Jetzt könnte man hier noch ein MG drauf machen. Allerdings
However, I'm not entirely sure because you cannot swivel there. You can only shoot in one direction.
ich nur in diese eine Richtung schießen.
Munizioni caliber 045. Here's a leather strap, and they surely had an ammunition box here.
Kiste, sowas in der Art. Aber irgendwie
But I find the terms really strange. They don't sound American, maybe Italian.
japanisch, sondern irgendwie italienisch.
Munizione! Telefono! To me, it almost looks like mounts from the projectiles. You can insert it here, and in front, there is an eyelet where the projectiles connects it.
Hier unten irgendwie auch noch.
Here too, you put it here, you fix it up, and then the hanger is closed.
Dann wird der Bügel zugemacht. Ich weiß allerdings
I don't know how the ammunition is in such a tank, because if I look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
ist ein bisschen
5 shots is a little too few for one tank. Or maybe there's another ammunition storeroom down here. Air conditioning, check.
Ventilator.
Ventilator, OU111. It's an electrical connection. But here's probably a good old air conditioning or some kind of ventilation device.
Bisschen Pustegerät. Was ich jetzt erst
What I only just saw are these wheels on the optics.
an der Optik scheint auch mal eine
There also seems to have been a plate on it where everything was described, but unfortunately it's gone. You can rotate it from 1 to 5. Maybe it's some kind of focus control for the binoculars.
so ein Fernglas. So, gehen wir mal hier noch.
Alright, let's go down a little more.
Okay, das
This is really smaller than I thought if I think that 5 people should have fit inside.
5 Leute drin waren? Na gut, der
I think the loader was here on one side.
Der Kommandant,
The commander may have been where I'm sitting so that he can look inside the optics.
damit er oben in diese Optik reingucken kann. Dann haben wir hier links unten.
Down here on the left was the driver.
Schau mal, da ist sogar
There's also a pedal down there.
konnte dann
He could perhaps look outside through the lid or through a deflection mirror.
halt durch so einen Umlenkspiegel.
And here on the right, yeah, the gunner was 100% sitting here.
Da sitzt der ja.
He was sitting next to this porthole. He can see through here and there in the front. Cool, he can move the thing.
Das ist hier so eine Halterung, wo
This is a holder in which the MG was clamped in. There's no notch and bead sights anymore. I don't know how he would aim precisely. Maybe he would fire a test shot first, and after that, I really don't know. Because there is really only one barrel out here in front.
A,
It was definitely really tight in here with 5 people.
eng hier drin. Dann will ich
I can't imagine the background noise in here when the tank was moving.
Ding hier lang fährst. Und ich
I
habe
watched some videos of the Springners. They were driving up some hills and they would detach from the ground a little and then land back down.
heben die auch mal kurz ab und knallen wieder rein. Ja, ich glaube hier
I think the helmets were mandatory inside.
angesagt. Oder ist es vielleicht
Or maybe it was just the CIA that was involved.
die hier ihre Finger im Spiel hat? Ach krass, hier
Oh, cool. Inside of this, there's a foam material. I mean, old foam material. Up here, there's also foam. Padding.
Polsterung. Ich denke mal, hier waren
I think there were also some consoles here in the past. Maybe a central armrest. No, I'm kidding. But here it really looks like as if there was a lot of equipment on it.
Gerätschaften dran gewesen damals. Und das Herz
And the heart, i.e. the engine, must have been back here.
kann hier hinten drin gewesen sein. Schade, der ist
Unfortunately, it's not here anymore. It would have been really exciting to see. But as a civilian, normally you're not even allowed to get in here.
gar nicht rein. Ist ein Hebel?
I think these things backfire when they shoot.
Ja, knallen auch so extrem nach hinten, wenn die schießen, ne? Filmen am
Filming on a limit here in terms of space.
Hier stehen 4.
There are 24 tanks here.
Und das sind 3
23 of them are the M47 type,
diesem Typ M47. Aber
but there should also be one Leopard 1.
Leopard 1 stehen. Das ist ein ganz merkwürdig zu beschreiben.
It's a really strange feeling to describe, sitting inside of the tank and looking around at the other tanks.
Leicht.
It's a little scary.
Kleine Info ist
Small fact, there are some new patch designs available and I have my own online shop. Look in the video description or just look it up on your browser, mobile, whatsoever. www.fritzmeinecke.shop.
Das könnte
This could be oh, it opens. It's written right here, gasoline.
Gasoline. Also, das ist ein
So this is a classic gas cap. The maximum speed of this tank is 48 kilometers an hour. That means I think you are not allowed to drive a tank on the highway.
Und man hat
And it has a range of 130 kilometers, which is of course extremely little for a car, but for a tank, you're not that long on the road. I think it moves more tactical in the field.
taktisch im Gelände. Es hat mich nicht
I
losgelassen.
couldn't stop thinking about it, and I just did a little research. The shooter, who sat inside with this trajectory MG thing, he was also the radio operator at the same time. And up in the gun turret were actually 3 people.
Schützturm 3 Leute, rechts
On the right was the commander and the right shooter, and on the left, the loader.
Seite der Ladeschütze. Was noch ganz spannend ist,
What is also very interesting, there was also a fire extinguishing system inside the tank that was strongly insulated, but it was only used in case of fire in the engine compartment, so the rear of the tank. This fire extinguishing system could be operated from the inside, but also from the outside. And for the external operation, the switch is right here behind the flap of the MG shooter or the radio operator.
beziehungsweise des Funkers. Ihr seht da so einen leichten...
You can see the red button right here. If they push this button from the outside, the fire extinguishing system would go on.
Diese Halterung...
This holder for the telephone was not in fact the radio station as I thought, but it was an external intercom or external speaker system. That means it was possible to speak from the inside of the tank over the speakers outside, the way you hear it from police vehicles on demonstrations.
Fahrzeugen auf so Demonstrationen kennt. Eine komplette
A
Umdrehung...
complete rotation, i.e. 360 degrees, on the turret takes 10 seconds.
Gerade mal 10 Sekunden. Und ich
And I was right. Up in the turret, there were 11 cartridges that could be reloaded bit by bit, and the rest of the spare ammunition was down in the combat area.
Die Munition lagerte dann unten im Kampfraumbereich. Das war jetzt der M...
This was the M47 tank. There's also a Leopard 1 tank. If you also want to see that, thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on any videos.
Vergessen, damit ihr das Video auch nicht verpasst. Und bis zum nächsten Mal.
Until next time, bye.